So this is kind of a series I'd like to do where I read FNAF books, typically for the first time, and discuss details I notice while reading. More recently in the series, however, I've been saving some details for the end of the video, and using those details to come up with a theory as to what the story could be trying to tell us. In the last video in this series, I checked out Step Closer and talked a bit about how the story could connect Gregory and Security Breach. My full theory on that is still a work in progress, but it should be out sometime soon. For this video, we are going to be reading one of the least popular Fast or Fright stories, if not the least popular, Dance With Me. So, like the Step Closer video, I'm going to discuss details I found, and then towards the end, I'm going to talk about what the story could mean. This video also doubles as a part of my Security Breach Afton family hexology. It is also the first part of a separate Security Breach theory trilogy series. The first video in the Afton family series was on William Afton. This one is about Mrs. Afton and Glitchtrap, and I still have a few more on their way. One that is also part of my other Security Breach trilogy, but I won't spoil that one yet. I also have Gregory and Freddy, Vanny, and a final video on the Afton family as a whole. But yeah, if you're looking forward to my upcoming theories, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget, those few that I just mentioned are only my Afton family videos that I have planned. I have more Security Breach theories planned for the future, besides the Afton family ones as well. Currently what I have planned is a video on the puppet, and another one on Balloon World, and also that other one, which is also part of the Afton family hexology. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to spoil that one yet, but it's a pretty interesting theory. It will probably be my next theory video, but yeah, we'll see. But I have a feeling I'm gonna have more theories to tell after those. But anyways, let's get Number 1. When Casey first puts on the Ballora glasses, she can't really see anything. This will be important later, but she also feels strangely dizzy. This adds up with what we know about illusion discs from the Silver Eyes trilogy, but it also adds up with what we know about curses as we talked about in this Step Closer video. And throughout the story, it becomes clear that Casey does have a curse on her, so where exactly is the dizziness coming from? Is it the glasses having illusion discs? Is it the curse? I'm thinking both. Number 2. When we hear about Casey's backstory, we're told about the first time she stole something. It was a $20 bill out of the jacket of a dude who went to the washroom at the fast food restaurant she worked at. It's then said that it takes more than 2 hours for her to make $20 while she works minimum wage. This means the minimum wage by the time of the story takes place was less than $10 an hour. It's unclear where this story takes place, but we could take a guess that it's in Utah, since that's where FNAF takes place usually, but it's also possible that it's somewhere else since Circus Baby just opened in multiple places. But let's just say, for the purpose of this, that it's in Utah. We can assume that Casey's wage is no less than $8, but if we go see the minimum wage for Utah, unless my research is incorrect, but based on my research, we can find that the minimum wage in Utah today is $7.25. This means that either Dance With Me takes place in the future, or it is not in Utah. Number 3. Casey goes to a place called the Burger Bam to get breakfast. She sits next to a booth with a mural of cartoonish barnyard animals. When I read this, my first thought was Pig Patch and the Mediocre Melodies. I'm not sure if that was just me or if it means anything, but it's just something I noticed. Number 4. When Casey's friends AJ and Jack put on the glasses, they can't see Ballora. Obviously, these glasses are a curse on Casey, but they are supposed to work on anyone, make Ballora dance for anyone. So why can't they see Ballora? It doesn't really make sense. This is FNAF, however, so that in turn does make sense. The fact that it doesn't make sense. Number 5. Quite a lot of Fast or Fright stories have someone getting injured on their arm. Step Closer, Into the Pit, Lonely Freddy, and The New Kid. But now there's another one. Casey and her friends go to a club to steal wallets and purses. She begins cutting the straps of a girl's purse with a very sharp pair of scissors that could cut through the leather as if it were paper, but while she's cutting, someone bumped into her, causing her to accidentally stab the girl's arm. Oof. Number 6. From the emails, we know that FNAF AR is canon, but one thing that has always been weird to me, and probably not just me, is the fact that the animatronics walk around your area invisibly. But we know they are still there, and eventually they do appear and jump scare you or run at you. Is it possible that something similar to the glasses is in the FNAF AR animatronics, as in illusion discs? Because they do act pretty similarly, not to mention Ballora is also in FNAF AR. It would also explain why you get static. Number 7. Casey tries to escape her guilt of stealing from a kid, so she leaves town and gets a job. But eventually her guilt follows her. Ballora follows her, and her torture is presumed. It's possible that something like this happened in the games with Michael Afton. After the bite, his guilt starts following him everywhere, so when he's old enough to, he leaves, trying to escape. He begins working at the Freddy's locations and investigating the murders, possibly because of one of his friends being a missing child or something. So Mike changes his ways. He stops being a bully, similar to how Casey stops stealing. Eventually, he finds out William kills the kids, whether that's during FNAF 2 or FNAF 1, before or after, whatever. Eventually, he finds out William is the killer. So he sets out to find him and goes to Sid's location a few years after FNAF 1. But eventually, the bite victim attaches his spirit to Michael, basically placing a curse on him, and so the only way for him to defeat it is going back to Fredbear's, because that's when the bite happened, and that's how you, defeat the curse, as we talked about in the Step Closer video. It's also possible that the FNAF 6 building is a reconstructed and repurposed Fredbear's Family Diner. That would explain how FNAF 6 could break the curse. Number 8. When Casey sees Ballora again for the first time since moving, she starts yelling and asking why she's following her. A few people turn to look at her as if she was crazy. This reminds me of the Sister Location 8-bit cutscenes when people turn to stare at Mike when he begins turning purple. This connection is a bit looser, but it could further tie Casey to Mike. Another thing that can connect Casey to Mike is number 9. Casey has a nightmare where Ballora is tormenting her. This can clearly connect to Mike having nightmares about Fredbear, which is like the symbol of both their guilt. Ballora for Casey, and Fredbear for Mike. And that's it. As it turns out, there's not actually all that many details in this story, or, well, besides the one that connected Glitchtrap and Mrs. Afton, so now let's just talk about those. So as a lot of people have pointed out in the past, it's very suspicious that Ballora is the main antagonist in a story about mothers. This can imply that Ballora is Mrs. Afton. Whether or not she is possessed by Ballora's spirit or is just a representation built by William based on her is debatable, but I think both are possible. And while yes, Ballora is possessed by Remnant, that doesn't stop her from also having her own individual spirit. Especially not if the spirit possessed her first. So it is possible Ballora is possessed by Remnant along with Mrs. Afton's spirit. And I do believe that, but I also think it's possible that it's just a representation. So that's something people have discussed before. But now I'm going to talk about something I noticed a long time ago, which for some reason I seem to be the only one to have noticed, or at least whoever else noticed doesn't talk about it, except me, now. Ballora in this story is actually very similar to Glitchtrap in FNAF VR. First of all, we have the point that when Casey sees Ballora, she kind of feels hypnotized. Also, when she first puts on the glasses, she doesn't see very much, like how Glitchtrap doesn't appear until you get the tapes in FNAF VR, and the less you have, the less of him you see. Every time Casey puts on the glasses, Ballora gets closer, just like how every time you collect the tape, Glitchtrap gets closer. At a certain point, when Ballora is close enough, she shows aggression, similar to how when you collect all the tapes, Glitchtrap shows more aggression and tries to take you over, and gets a lot closer too. At a certain point, Casey almost feels like she's being controlled to put on the glasses. And of course, at the end of the story, once Ballora has gotten as close as possible, she seems to possess Isabella, the little girl Casey stole from, based on the fact that she gets excited when she sees Ballora in front of her, and then all of a sudden she just starts to dance without saying anything. This so very clearly connects to how when we get all the tapes and Glitchtrap is as close as possible, and he possesses Vanessa. So yeah, it's honestly kind of simple to explain. Ballora in this story is a parallel to Glitchtrap. Kind of. You see, the interesting thing about Ballora in this story is that she actually seems to exist in the game universe, as in the glasses exist in the universe and are possibly controlled by Mrs. Afton. In the FNAF Ultimate Guide, on a page talking about Dance With Me, the glasses that make Casey see Ballora are referred to as novelty glasses. At 11:30 in Security Breach, we hear Dread Unit on the speakers saying that we can make our way to the door where we will be given a bunch of stuff, including a pair of novelty glasses.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for visiting, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Freddy and the gang are pretty tired, but they'll be back again next week after a few days of scheduled maintenance. Please make your way to the front of the building, where you will be given novelty glasses, a voucher for one free soda refill, and where you will sign a legal disclaimer releasing us of all liability for anything that might have happened during your visit. Have an awesome night, and we'll see you again soon.
Is it possible that these novelty glasses are the same ones from Dance With Me, or ones that function the same way as from Dance With Me? I find it weird that it oddly adds up. While Ballora from Dance With Me has similarities with Glitchtrap, which I'm pretty sure are intentional, there are also a few differences, such as the fact that Ballora gets closer simply every time you have to put them on, while Glitchtrap does as you get the tapes. It also adds up with the fact that William seems to have killed Mrs. Afton. This is hinted at in the Security Breach CDs, as well as the files of the Help Wanted mobile port. William's guilt for killing his ex-wife is hinted at by the Fazbear Frights books to be the reason he went down the path to kill kids. As in, it's not the reason he does it, but it's part of the reason he goes that far, I guess. Kind of like Superman in the Injustice storyline. So it's possible that Mrs. Afton attached to the glasses after the fire, or that some of the Blob's circuit boards were scanned just like William's, but they weren't used for the VR games, but rather for the novelty glasses. And since Mrs. Afton was killed in an incident causing a lot of guilt on William's part, it's a possibility that Mrs. Afton acts sort of as an in-game version of Blackbird. She torments guilty people and gets them to confess their sins. This would make sense to me. I find this to be an interesting idea, and it would make sense as to why the game would talk about Mrs. Afton as much as it does with the Afton family Easter egg and the CDs. It's a fact that Dance With Me can't be in the game universe just like the other Fazbear Frights stories can't be, due to the fact that in the games, Babies was only open for one day. But a few days after stealing from the kid at Babies, one of Casey's friends says maybe they could go back to the pizzeria, meaning it's still opened. This means that even if the beginning took place on the first day Babies opened, which is unlikely by itself, it still can't be in the games because in this story it's open for longer than just a day. So now there's one last thing to talk about. The mother figure in the story, the woman Casey stole from, is named Sarah. Sarah is also the name of the main character of To Be Beautiful. In To Be Beautiful, the antagonist is a revamped version of a sister location animatronic, one which uses illusion discs. And in this story, in Dance With Me, the main antagonist is a new revamped version of a sister location animatronic who seems to be using illusion discs. It's pretty similar, right? I find it weird that the name Sarah in these books belongs to a girl who was friends with Baby and a woman who represents Ballora, and being friends with Baby could be a reference in and of itself to Ballora. I just find it weird that there are two people in the Fazbear Frights stories that represent Ballora named Sarah. I kind of headcanon it that Mrs. Afton is named Sarah because of this, and it's kind of a possibility, but it could just be a coincidence and nothing at all. It's just something I wanted to mention. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's possible that the Ballora novelty glasses exist in the games and could possibly be made with circuit boards containing Mrs. Afton's spirit? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But anyways, hope you all enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.